Welcome, friends and warriors, to another episode of Power Over Pink. I am your host and breast cancer survivor, Tara Cam. Here, we highlight survivor stories and have those who have faced or are going through breast cancer share their stories to inspire you to go up against your own battle and be better equipped and be your own advocate, knowing that we have Power Over Pink. So, welcome, my beautiful friend Megan, back to the channel. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back.
Yeah, we say back because we did do a little
Yeah.
interview already. You can catch that on my channel on Facebook and all my others, but a snippet of your story. And it was a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful part of your story. So I'm so excited to hear the full version.
Thank you. I'm
Yes.
excited to share it. I have always loved talking about it because it's like a part of me, and I wouldn't be who I am, today if I didn't go through it. Um, but I guess I'll just jump right in.
Yeah.
I was 29 years old. Uh, Finally had like the strength and the courage to move out of my parents' house. And I think like I moved at the beginning of February, and then the end of February, I'm driving down the road going to work, and I like something brings me to my left breast. I don't know if it was like a shock. It wasn't like a pain. It was like I don't know, like feel right there. Like something's there and it's not supposed to be. And so it was very weird. So I like went and I was like, oh, that feels weird. That's not
Mhm.
supposed to be there. It felt like my knuckle, and it was
Hmm.
so superficial. Like it was that close to my skin. And so I went on about my day and I was like, that's nothing. Like there's no way. Well, that night in the shower, I'm like feeling everywhere. And I was like, that's like the only place that feels that way. And I was like, okay, but still, like, there's no way. There's no
Yeah.
way. I didn't even Google it. Like, I was like, there is no way I have anything wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have breast cancer. I don't have nothing. Knowing that my grandma had like fibroid cysts or whatever, I'm like,
Mhm.
that's probably what it is. I just chalked it up to that. So I go on about my life. I'm like just moved out of my parents' house for the first time, like loving life, right?
Right.
And just stacking money in my savings, just doing the thing.
Hmm.
2 months later, I'm sitting at my friend's house and we're all just in a circle talking. And the TV's on in the background. No one's listening to it. But all of a sudden, everyone's voice in the room got quiet. And all I could hear on the TV was breast cancer.
Hmm.
And I was like it literally made me, you know, like something's up.
Right.
So it was crazy because the November prior, my gyno had retired. And so I didn't have another appointment with my new gyno until like, I don't even know, I guess a year past that. And so because I wasn't established with them, they couldn't see me. So then they're telling me I had to go to my GP. So finally I get into my GP. They, of course, didn't take me seriously because they're like, you're 29. There's no way. Right.
Right.
Finally get an ultrasound scheduled. The ultrasound tech literally in his motion of ultrasounding my boob, he's like, girl, it is not cancer. It does not look like cancer. Like, there's no way. And I'm thinking,
Great.
hey, like,
Yeah.
so
Good news.
happy.
Yeah.
And I go to work and I'm telling people, no, I'm kidding. No one knew at this point. No one still knew. Like, I kept this to myself. So I go on about my day, just telling myself, like, oh, he's fine. Like, great. I don't have to tell anybody about it, whatever. Well, that afternoon, the nurse practitioner calls me and she's like, hey, Miss Begnaud, I looked at your images. I'm not comfortable with them. I would really like to refer you to the breast center. And I was like, okay, I'm really confused because the ultrasound guy tech said it doesn't look like cancer. There's no like whatever makes it look like cancer. And she's like, well, I can't speak to that, but I just want you to go get this checked. And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, later finding out the ultrasound tech should not have told me that,
No, ever. They
because
should
that's
never
like
say that.
illegal. Right. So, in an effort to, because I just moved out and I'm trying to save money, I'm like, okay, is there any way that the breast center can use these images to like do whatever they need to do? So I didn't have to pay for another ultrasound, right? Well, it's just funny how the universe works, telling me that I had breast cancer and then actually getting the diagnosis. So I bring the images to the breast center and they were so rude to me. Like, and I speak about it because I feel like it's a big deal. Still at this point, I have not told, and I'm doing this by myself. And this lady is so like, what are you doing here? Like I guess is stereotyping me because I look young,
Young.
and
You're young. Yeah.
and so it just went, and I literally had to like hold back tears. Like, my doctor sent me here. They think I need extra testing from these images, whatever. So finally, they took it. The radiologist looked at it, and like within a day or two, they're calling me back and scheduled a biopsy.
Wow.
So I'm like, a biopsy. So then I'm like, oh gosh, okay, I guess I have to start telling people. So I tell my family, which my family is not supportive. And so it was just like emotionally. And so it's very hard for me to say like what was happening. And I just kind of was like, it's fine. Everything's fine. I just have to go to this biopsy. Like, no big deal. It's fine. So I go to do the biopsy, and the nurse schedules me for 2 days later to come back to get the biopsy results. And in the biopsy, she's biopsying the tumor. But then the radiologist is also like, as she's like doing the ultrasound, like, I think I'm going to biopsy one of your lymph nodes because it doesn't look right. And so I'm like, okay, great. Whatever that means. I had no idea. So the next day, I'm on the way to work. And at that time, I was working like an hour away from where I lived. And so I am literally pulling up to work, and my GP's office calls me, and it's the nurse, and she's like, Megan? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, we're referring you to Dr. So and so, and they're gonna try and get you in by Friday. And just spitting. I can't even remember everything she said.
Okay. Because
And
you're wondering, like, what? I don't
right,
even know what's happening yet.
like, why are you spitting all this stuff at me? And I thought I was done with them, right? Because the nurse at the breast center was like, you're coming back on Thursday to get your results. And so I said, what's going on? Like, why are you referring me to all these people? Like, what? And so she's like, your biopsy came back positive. And I said, positive for what? And she said, breast cancer, baby. And I lost it.
Yeah.
It was like, I just didn't even know what those 3 words could do to somebody. Like,
And in that context where you're
and in that
blindsided.
context,
Yeah.
like, didn't even ask if I was sitting down, if I was driving. Just, I get the urgency, but there was just, I didn't, I didn't receive the compassion from the breast center, like, and that's so monumental because, like, where you work. You work at a
Right.
breast center. Like, it
Right.
doesn't matter if people are going for their regular mammograms, or a 29-year-old is coming up here with images for your radiologist to look at it because there might be something wrong.
Right.
And then, the nurse, it was just, looking back, it was
Awful.
like, that's what I remember. Like, breast cancer, baby, and then I had to go into work and like hold back tears. And of course, at this time, like, my supervisor, I told my coworkers, my supervisor knew what was going on. And so we were kind of just waiting on results. And so, of course, they see me and I'm like beside myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having to hold back tears until my supervisor gets there. And she's like, the second she walks in the door, she's like, let's go outside. And so I go outside and, she's like, why don't you go home? And I was like, go home for what? Like, go cry by myself? Like, no, I'd rather be around y'all,
Yeah.
I mean, even after I hung up the phone with the nurse, like, I didn't even know who to call.
Mm.
It was just this feeling of like, what? Who do I tell? You know? And what do I tell them? So, of course, like I mentioned, like I come from a family who's very emotionally unavailable. And so I mustered up, I quit crying and I mustered up this strength and I ended up calling my mom. And I was like, yeah, it's positive and they're referring me to a surgeon and we're going to go from there. Can you? And I couldn't even call my grandma. Me and my grandma were very close. And I said, can you please, we called her mom. I said, can you please tell mom? Like, literally couldn't even say it. And even still, like, so I had another friend who's like a mother figure to me. And I called her and, I was just like, I don't know what to say, but it's positive, like whatever that means, And like, of course, they're like asking me questions and I'm like silent, like I have
Right.
nothing.
Right.
That's what it was. People were texting me and in that moment I had no idea what was happening. And my mom just, I think she just did what she knew to do best, I guess, But like she asked me, she's like, "Can I post on Facebook for prayers?" And I'm like, "Yeah," like not even thinking. And so of course my phone, everything blew up. And I say all of that to say, like, I could not say that I had breast cancer. Like I would walk around and like people would be like, "How are you?" And I would have to look at the person with me and, or whatever. And I would say, "You can say it." Like you can tell them. Because
Yeah.
I couldn't. I legit couldn't say I have breast cancer. It's just even still like looking back or if I look at pictures, like I don't, who is that person? Even before cancer, because I've changed so much. But so I got diagnosed May 12th, 2021. And the very next day I saw the surgeon and I went in there and I was like, I mean, I had my mind made up. I was done. I wanted a double mastectomy. I was not having it. And the surgeon I had didn't listen to me.
Of
Uh,
course not.
right. Like he
'Cause you're
had his
young. How
mind
could you make that decision?
correct.
Yeah.
He had his mind made up and I didn't know, like, and I think it, like going back, if I knew what I knew now, like, oh, I'd have fought for that. And I tell people now, you want a double mastectomy or even just whatever, one mastectomy, you fight for that
Yeah.
because who are they to say? And exactly what happened. So I had a lumpectomy and an axial lymph node dissection where he took 21 lymph nodes out.
Oh my gosh, 21.
Yes, which
Why?
is
Were they all
another
positive?
issue. I had one
And he
out
took
of
21?
21.
That's
And I
not okay.
said, right. I said, why did you take so many lymph nodes? He said, because I wanted you to have clear margins. I said,
But I had clear margins.
right. So literally, I mean, he even did like this with his hand. Like he was like, yeah, I just scooped it out. And I was like, that is beyond me. And I don't even know about this stuff, right? So what? It was truly mind blowing. And so I had clear margins, thank you, but now lymphedema, stage 2. So I have to wear a sleeve daily. Like I just took it off because I wear it all day. And it's like, people say whenever you get home, like First thing you take off is your bra. No, first thing I take off is my sleeve because it's bothering me.
Yeah.
I have to pump my arm 50 minutes a day. I have to wear a nighttime sleeve. I have to watch my sodium intake. I have to watch my sugar intake. I have to drink a lot of water. It's like, why did you take 21 limits?
Right.
And only one was positive.
Like usually they take one and test it and then they stop.
Right.
And then if it's positive, they'll take another.
So then it didn't hematoma. Well, right out of surgery. I mean, the biggest bruise, yellow, that I've ever seen. And 5 days later, so not even 5 days, the same day into the next day, whenever I tell you I was in so much pain, and they're telling you with the drains, like, as day 2 comes and day 3, like, it's starting to get pink. Like, it should not still be red and clotty. Well, day 3, I'm still red as can be as it was the first day. And so something's not right, as well as me being in pain. I mean, I could barely lift my arm. I could not do anything for myself.
Right.
And day 4, I'm still complaining about it. And this surgeon is such a bad word. Like, it's like they didn't even care. So finally, they agreed to see me on day 5. And I go in there and I swear I'm seeing red. Like, I think back to that day and I'm sitting in the waiting room and it's like my eyelids were halfway closed and it's just red. That's all I see. That's how much pain I was in.
Jeez.
I go back there. The second the nurse practitioner sees me, she's like, I'm going to go get the doctor.
Good idea.
So he comes in and he's like, and I was like, what's up? He's like, have you eaten today? And I said, yeah, I ate breakfast because I had to take my meds. And he goes, then he turns to me. That's all he said to me. Then he turns to the nurse practitioner. He's like, hey, can you call the surgery center and see if we can get an emergency surgery? So I had a hematoma that they thought was going to dissipate and didn't. So 5 days later, I had to emergency surgery for him to dissect the hematoma. And so because of my age, and I was told this so many times, because you're so young, I couldn't get a double mastectomy. Because of my age, I had to do chemo first before surgery. Like, it was just nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I had to see the surgeon first. Then he referred me to the oncologist, my medical oncologist, which I love. My
Good.
medical oncology team was phenomenal, like so good. So I started chemo 2 weeks after diagnosis, I think. It was like June 6th or something,
Mm-hmm.
or so maybe 3 weeks,
That's fast.
because I had to put my port in, and then I started chemo. And so I met with the surgeon the Friday after diagnosis, and then that following week I met with the medical oncology. And that appointment, like, I just went to my follow-up with my medical oncologist and we talked about it, and she was like, no, I remember that day. And it's just so, like, do you know how many people she sees? And this was 4 years ago for me. Like, and she remembers that day because of course I remember it, but we talk about everything, and I'm trying to take notes, and then my friend is trying to take notes, and it got to a point where it was like silent, and my hair was like long. I mean, long. Um, and just curly and just like volume. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And the physician's assistant looks at me and says, we need to talk about your hair. And I, again, lost it because, like, I got diagnosed with breast cancer, and then it's like, you're just going through the motions. Like,
Mm-hmm.
tell me where I need to be and what time, and okay, I'm going to show up. Like,
Yeah.
tell me what needs to happen at this appointment. Did you hear what they said? Because I was listening, but I wasn't listening. I'm
Yeah.
trying to take notes. Like, it's literally just all this stuff. And like, okay, you're going to have chemo and you're going to lose your hair, but you don't. I guess it didn't become a reality until I heard that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had to come here 4 times to prepare to go bald. And then even still, whenever I got to the point, my hair was like I had a pixie, and then I had like a boy haircut. And then it finally, like, when I got to that point, I was like, okay, it's time to shave it. And the chemo that I was on is the Red Devil,
Yeah.
adriamycin and Cytoxin. And so it made my scalp so sore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she couldn't even cut it. Like, she couldn't even like, shave it. So, and I, like, looking back, so I did, it's 4 rounds of the Red Devil every 3 weeks. And so, they say all these things like, "Oh, you're gonna have stomach issues and you're gonna have the diarrhea and the throwing," just like the typical stuff, right? So I prepared for that. Well, the Red Devil does not do that. Does quite the opposite, and it made me so constipated
Oh no.
that I had no idea.
Yeah.
Um, and whenever the time came, like, I'm like telling my doctor, I'm like, it's been a week that I have not had a bowel movement. And so by the time that it finally happened, I got 2 fissures because I tore. So then
Oh,
I had to, so not only being nauseous and sick from chemo, then I had to deal with that. Then I had to seek another doctor for a gastro, like, because the medicine that they were giving me wasn't the right stuff.
right.
Um, I don't know if they really knew what was happening. It was terrible. I
Yeah.
had the worst time. Like, I was miserable.
Yeah.
I cursed my oncologist out. Like, again, we talk about that all the time, and I still apologize. I'm like, I am not doing this anymore. Like, I was like, I'm done. Like, it was terrible. Like, how can you, it just knocks you on your feet, and you're sick, you're nauseous, your stomach hurts, you're trying to use the restroom, you're about to pass out, you're crying. Like,
Yeah.
it literally is like, okay, is the chemo trying to kill me?
Right.
So finally got past that. They gave me a break after the Red Devil. And then it's like the mental stuff started, the mental struggle, even still now. Like, it's just so not talked about. And so the next chemo I did was Taxol, and I was only able to complete 8 of those out of 12 because was still dealing with the constipation.
Yeah.
And then I got neuropathy.
Mm.
And the more that I was doing the Taxol, the worse the neuropathy was getting.
Yeah.
And so my oncologist was like, I can't continue this. Like, she was like, I can't keep you on this. You will end up not walking out of here. And so as the world turns, I'm like, well, wait, you can't take me off of chemo. Like, I was so ready to be done. And then I'm
Right.
like, wait, you want to finish early? No. But they assured me, like, I've had enough, like, it's good. Then that's whenever I had all the surgery things. So I had that drain for 4 weeks. It was like pure hell. Like, it,
So did they put the drain in because they took the lymph nodes? Because usually you don't get drains from
correct,
lumpectomy. Okay.
correct. And then he had to redo the drain because the drain was all not properly done the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like my scar and my scar tissue is terrible.
I bet.
It's ridiculous. So, 4 weeks of the drain. And then, and I don't know if you ever heard this, like, some people say, oh, you have a hard time with chemo and then you get a break for radiation, or you have a hard time for radiation, you get a break for chemo, or surgery's not so bad. Not me. I'm like, I don't know whose bad debt I'm paying off, but I am done with all of it.
Yeah.
So surgery, terrible time. So finally got the drain out, and then I was able to do radiation. So I did, like, I don't know, 35 rounds of radiation. It was like 5 or 6 weeks
Yeah.
every day, Monday through Friday. I burned so bad on this whole quadrant. Like, I have this scar from broken up blood vessels because it was so bad.
Yeah.
I guess I'm such like a soldier, and I'd go to my appointments and the radiation oncologist is like, what's your level of pain? I'm like, a 4. And she's like, you don't look like you're a 4,
Yeah.
when indeed it was like a 20. And I just like, I tell people now, be honest, like say what it is and say what you want,
Well, on the flip side
because
of that, I told my doctor I did 33 rounds of radiation and I was burning and blistering. And I showed him and I was like, I am in so much pain. Like, I can't sleep because my skin is gone. And he looked at it and he said, it's not that bad.
it literally mind blows me that
I was
these
like,
doctors,
it's bad to me. How about a burn cream?
like, what? It's as if like I know best and like this is what we're doing. I don't care,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know? Because even with the surgeon, the surgical oncologist, the acts, like, so you mean to tell me if I do a mastectomy, that's not going to lower my chances? Because my medical oncologist just told me that because I was diagnosed at 29, my chance of reoccurrence is 85%,
Oh, gosh.
just based off of my age,
Right.
not anything else. So, what?
Right. Like, how do you get to make that call? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess, I spoke about Christy in my first video and like, honestly, if it wasn't for Christy, like I would not have learned how to advocate for myself, how to stand up. Like I was so like, go with the flow, like it is what it is, and I mean, if it wasn't for her, like I wouldn't have said, okay, I'm not doing tamoxifen and Lupron for the next 10 years because Lupron is $7,000 a month. And it gave me the same quality of life that I had on chemo. I'm not
Exactly.
staying on that for 10 years.
No.
And for what? The fertility doctor just told me that the eggs that I did have, because I also had PCOS.
Mm.
So the eggs that I did have, it's like, well, we'd have to pump you with estrogen and progesterone to make you pregnant. Okay,
Lease
so
can't do. Yeah.
I mean, my cancer was invasive ductal carcinoma, estrogen and progesterone positive.
Mm-hmm.
So what you mean to tell me is that you feel safe pumping me with estrogen and progesterone, the same hormones that produce my cancer. Like,
Right.
what? So, I mean, thank God my medical oncologist listens to me. Maybe because
Mm-hmm.
I scared her. I don't know, because I cursed her out that one. No, I'm just kidding. Um, and then my gynecologist listens to me, and so like I got a total hysterectomy.
Okay.
So I finished radiation in February of 2022, and in May of 2023 I got a total hysterectomy. And as I feel clean, if which is weird, like my gynecologist was like, you feel clean? And I'm like, yeah. Just because like PCOS, I mean, ever since I started my period at
Right.
16, it just made me feel so terrible. And then again, I had a doctor who didn't listen to me and he just put me straight on birth control. So
They
I was
all
on birth
do.
control from 17 till 29, till my diagnosis. And, with PCOS, my body wasn't producing estrogen and progesterone. It produces, like, we all produce testosterone, but like in females, like it kind of whatever balances. Well, with PCOS, you produce more. And so of the testosterone. So he put me on a birth control that was pumping estrogen and progesterone in my body for over 10 years.
Wow.
And, I can't do anything about it because it's a warning label, but I just feel like, why didn't this doctor do more testing? Why didn't he
Yeah.
listen to me? Why didn't he say, let's try another route? Let's do something. Let's look at your insulin. Let's look at this. Like, And I didn't know anything about it, you know? We're just so used to conforming and like,
Trusting.
right. That I'm not saying that caused my my cancer, but hello.
And it didn't either.
Right. And it's just thank God for Christy, you know? I mean, the girl could quiet a room in seconds, but she got stuff done, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like, I know I met her, so I can tell her story too, you know, along with mine. Like,
So for those who haven't watched your other video, Christy was your best friend
yeah,
who lost her life to breast cancer.
yeah. We got introduced to one another uh a week between our diagnosis. And so, I mean, we trauma bonded, I guess, you know?
That's a real thing.
But it is. And she quickly learned was struggling in the love and support department. And so she just scooped me up and right under her wing. And truly, like, she was struggling and still there for me, you know,
Oh.
like just so unconditional.
How old was she?
She was 38 at her time of death. Um, so she actually found a lump in her neck and they thought that it was
Uh-huh.
but when they tested it, it was breast cancer. And so at diagnosis it was already here.
Wow.
So again, she had the same surgeon. They didn't do a mastectomy. They did a lumpectomy, removed some lymph nodes. I think she had 12 removed. And hers was a triple positive.
Oh.
So she had that HER2 positive, and you know, she fought for 2.5 years, and she just had this will to live, you know, and to fight it. And I didn't. I did not. And like, girl, it got to a point where like people were not allowing me to drive to chemo because I was like, I'm gonna drive myself into a ditch, you know? Like I was in so much pain. And this girl just like I didn't know about soulmates, but like she was like my platonic soulmate. Literally, like I owe it to her, you know, for me fighting, like because I know I wouldn't have, and I think she knew that, and she could see that, and so she just like poured into me, you know, and I'm just so thankful because she always had it worse than I did, you know, but never told me, you know. She literally, um, it was around like January, February of 2023. She's like coughing a lot and just like not feeling right. So, of course, you know, they're checking her out and they found some spots in her chest. It just is the same route, you know, every time.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they started her on some oral chemo and radiation. And then she's doing okay, you know, and my birthday. So I had the hysterectomy in May of 2023. And then my birthday was May 21st. And she like went above and beyond for my birthday, like, and not feeling good. This girl
Right.
couldn't eat, couldn't drink. Like her throat was so burnt from radiation. She was just like so not feeling good. And she like just still poured into me for my birthday. And then in June, she started having these like seizures, but they were like, she was conscious and not like your typical seizure, like her right arm just would like do like this or something, you know?
Yeah.
She wasn't telling me. And so one time, this was whenever it really all went downhill. One night we're at our local little spot and she starts doing it. And so I'm like, okay, this is not okay, you know? And so our other friend brings her home and then I go because we lived 58 seconds away from one another. So I go and I was like, well, you're not staying alone. You're not sleeping alone. Well, once she got home, like it didn't stop. And so we finally got her to go to the ER whatever, they find the brain tumor. And from there, like that next day, we get the results and it's a brain tumor. And that was the same day she was supposed to go for her PET scan to check on her chest. And so I'm like, okay, like I get it. We need to figure out the brain tumor, but like we can't forget about the chest, right? And so she like assured me, like we're going to do the brain surgery. They're going to get the tumor and then we'll focus on it, like it's all good. So, because once I heard brain tumor, like I just knew. I know, like, once it goes to your brain, like, and so that's just statistics and like every story I've heard. But she like assured me, she's like, Meg, it's all good. It's all good. Like, I'm not going anywhere. They can't kill bad grass. My girl just like, had this will to live. So a month later, well, they did the brain surgery. And so she was very like artsy and crafty and she's right-handed. After the brain surgery, her right hand, her whole arm like was dead. So that's whenever I really saw a shift in her. And
It's got to
it's
be hard.
yeah, it's like that's whenever I had to turn, like she was doing PT, all the things, but I could just tell like that was her lifestyle. She would like make oyster stuff and just so creative. And so a month later, after the brain surgery, she starts like this coughing, okay? And it's like, oh well, and just has she always ran this fever, okay? Just unexplained. And while the fever like got worse, and then the coughing got worse, and so they took her in and it's pneumonia.
Mhm.
And so I was not convinced ever. I did not like her care team. I thought not aggressive for her
Right.
type of cancer. Just didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And supposedly they were doing x-rays and CAT scans and all this stuff. And yeah, it's just fluid on her lungs. And I guess from the surgery and da da da. And after 14 days of antibiotics and nothing working, her oncologist like goes to her and is like, well, the pulmonologist was like, we're going to turn it back over to your oncologist. And, I'm like, what's going on, And it's like, at one point I'm like, they need to call me. Where's my number needs to be on this board because seriously, I need answers, and just she was so uncomfortable and couldn't breathe. Like she could barely even speak. That wasn't Christy, because normally she would be standing up for herself. And that her oncologist went in there and was like, sorry, we can't do anything else. Like the antibiotics are not working. We can't do anything else. And so she like asked me, well, she asked the oncologist, she's like, am I dying? And then it came out that like the x-ray or the CT scan, I don't know. It was like all black, like cancer, because they forgot about the chest, obviously, when they went to the brain tumor, because she never had the PET scan. So I was at work, and when they told me like it's hospice, I'm like, no, it's not. Like, there's no way. And I still can't even wrap my head around it that like she's gone, because like it just doesn't make sense to me that like she had this will to live and she was just so ready to fight.
Yeah.
And then it takes her, So it's just I'm glad to tell her story,
Yeah, I'm glad
but
you are.
it's just it's messed up, like she did not get the proper care, she did not get the proper treatment. Like I'm no doctor, but hello,
Right.
like what
Not
are we
even
doing?
addressing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, sorry, can't do anything else. That's it. Like you're too far gone, pretty much, and
But at least communicate that, like
right.
progression. Don't leave
And
people wondering and
right.
asking questions. If you know somebody's progressing and their cancer has spread
Mhm.
and they don't have a chance, then
Like why
communicate
not
that.
talk about it? Why not say it?
Yeah. Prepare them
But no,
and
she
their
had to
loved
ask.
ones.
She had to ask. Like And so, of course, whenever I get there, and I'm so thankful that I had this moment with her because she was just got to the point, she was uncomfortable. She was ready to go. She
Yeah.
couldn't breathe. I don't blame her. She was suffering. They left her in a bed to suffer.
Mm.
And so I get there and I'm, of course, crying because I don't know how I'm going to go through life without her because I wouldn't have made it through 2.5 years if it wasn't for her. And she's comforting me on her deathbed, telling me, like, don't worry, like, I'm still going to let you know that I'm here, and like, I'm not going away. I did not believe in that type of stuff, but she really does. I think I don't know, once I like opened my eyes or opened my heart, like I started seeing. So she does come to me in like hearts and she comes to me in a lot of ways to let me know that she's still here. But it's still like something has got to change. Like
Yeah.
I
It's got
met
to change.
so many people at this summit who like I can't even handle it. Like, what? You're triple positive, you're triple negative, metastatic? Like, oh my God, I'm scared to get close to you. Like, I love you so much and I want to be your friend, but like, oh my God, like what are they doing to help you? Like it's so devastating that they don't listen. They don't listen to us. And like so many people, I mean, I know someone who was 22 at
Yeah.
diagnosis. Like, what?
Well, somebody said that last year at the summit, they had a speaker who got diagnosed. I think she was 19 when she was talking, but she was diagnosed in her teens, like when she got her period age.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know that for fact, but one of the girls that I was talking to mentioned it, and I was like, God, I have a daughter who's 18.
Right. Like it's literally mind blowing. And that like
The fact that
these
doctors are still saying you're too young
yes.
just rattles me. I'm like, what do you mean? How? So, like, I'm doing this channel and I've been doing it for I don't know, a year and a half now, and the stories that I'm hearing on repeat. And I've met women my age and older, and they're hearing things like that. But like to go to the summit, so I was told I was too young after I had breast cancer because I suffered severely from constipation as well from all the chemo and everything. And I was miserable, but then I had all these flare ups in my guts. And so I went to my doctor. They actually saw something on a CT scan, right? Like a visible something, and it said a thickening of the cell wall or something. It was thickening of something something in my upper sigmoid colon. Well, I googled all that, of course, and I was like, if it's a thickening of a cell, if it's a thickening, that's a cell growth, which is how cancer starts, right? So I was like to my oncologist, I said, hey, you know, uh, I've got these symptoms. And and I've already researched everything because I'm a dental hygienist. I love science. I love anatomy. It's my thing. And he laughed at me. He literally laughed at me. I said, "We don't think that it's colon cancer, right? Like, because that's kind of where it's leading to." And he goes, "Tara, you are too young to have colon cancer." He said, "You can't even get a colonoscopy till you're 45." And I said, "Oh, that's cool because I had one last year because I was having these symptoms last year." And he legitimately laughed at me. And I looked at him and I said, "And by the way, I don't know if you got the memo, but I was also too young for breast cancer." And that's the last time I saw him.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I was like, I cannot
Oh
even
God.
fathom that. There's people in their 20s getting colon cancer too. So let's like stop with that thought process. Like if I'm seeing it and you're seeing it and everybody who's getting diagnosed is seeing it that is younger and younger, then why are doctors still saying you're too young for this? If that
Right.
was the case, there wouldn't be kids and a kid
Right.
wing. Like I just don't
So
understand that.
what's it gonna take?
Yeah.
Like
Like
I
how
don't
many
get
more
it.
young women?
I know.
How many more?
I know.
Like
Like it
how
just
many were at
it's
this summit? 600 and something
yes.
as
And
guests.
we need more.
Mhm.
We deserve more.
Yeah.
Then you have PCOS, here's birth control.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you are too young for breast cancer. You're 29. Like
Yeah.
we need
No,
more. We deserve more. And it's not fair. Like, I mean, even
something's
for
gotta
the
change.
yeah.
Something's
Yeah.
got to change. And honestly, I've been chewing on this ever since I started doing the channel because I had a history of hormone imbalance after I had my son at 25. And I was on birth control for quadrillion years before I got pregnant. And so then my husband was actually going to get trained to be, because he's a pharmacist, so he was getting trained on hormone replacement therapy. So when I had my son, my mood tanked and I couldn't stop crying. And his friend was learning about all this, and he's like, no, it's just her progesterone, and brought me home a mass dose of progesterone cream, and I was back to normal within 3 days. It's not postpartum depression. I don't need anxiety. I needed progesterone. And so then I took it, and that brought me back up. Had I not done that, I would have gotten breast cancer at 25. I know that. I know that with every fiber of my being. Postponed. 6 years later, I had a calcification come up, and then I cold turkey quit it because I didn't understand why I was having it. So what I should have been doing was hormone testing the entire time, not blood work, because it doesn't show. So if
Right.
anybody, like what you said earlier, when you said that you were on birth control and having PCOS, you should have been having hormone testing every
Correct.
6 months, at least no less than once a year. Is it working? Do you still have too much? Because we know the basic Google search says 80% of all breast cancer is hormone positive.
Yeah.
80%. And if you really stop and think of it, 100% of it is, because it's either lack of or the
Correct.
HER2. And I'm like,
Correct.
so everything comes back to hormones, and we're all on birth control. And then my daughter has hormone issues already at her young age. And so what was her doctor's suggestion? Birth control. And I was like, well, I'm a breast cancer survivor. We're not doing that. And she was like,
Yeah.
no, there's one that's known to prevent it. The one that she was going to put her on was 100% progesterone, which makes your body think that you're pregnant. So you want my daughter to go through her body thinking that it's pregnant for the next 5 years? That's not safe.
Right.
I'm not a doctor.
Exactly. And I'm
Common
literally
sense.
like, we're saying this. We're not doctors, but
No, but I'm a female and I know
right.
hormones because,
And we've heard so many stories. And yet we're questioning the
yeah.
doctor. And oh, wait, it's a problem that they're
But if you
like,
say this to the
don't
doctor, they
question.
act like you're crazy.
Yes.
Like, but
So
aren't you
it's,
crazy for not looking at this, doc?
yep. Yep. I'm with you. And listen, I can't, like, if someone talks about birth control, like their own birth control, I'm like, you got to go somewhere there, over there with that.
Mhm.
If, oh, I missed my mammogram. Mm, I'm gonna need you to come back and talk to me whenever you get it done. Like, I can't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's not okay.
It's not
Not
okay.
okay.
None of this is. None of it is okay. None of it. I went off on a tangent, but it's near and dear to my heart.
I'm here for that.
Feeling a
So
little
are you
feisty
okay with
hearing
your
about Christy.
colon? I know. Your colon's okay though?
My hormones? Wait, what?
Your colon.
Oh, who knows? I don't know. Haven't got any answer. I saw 8 doctors.
Okay.
I gave up. I was like, well, I'll
Right.
just keep taking these things to help me have
Right.
movement, and we'll just go from
Right.
there. My flare up stopped, so all the pain went away. So I'm like, all right, we're just gonna keep on walking because I keep looking at it and they keep saying that it's fine. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I know they asked me if I have that too. I mean, I had to go to a gastro, and even still, like, post treatment, like, I was still having to see this gastro doctor because I was still struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm sorry to tell you, like, if it hasn't corrected itself now, it's not going to. And I was like,
What does that mean? Great.
maybe,
Yay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
for
I
the
would say that
rest
it's,
of my life, it's like I have to, like,
mhm,
yes, I'm cancer free. He got clear margins, and I have to deal with lymphedema. I have to deal with digestive issues
mhm.
in order to prevent um, the mental, the survivor's guilt, losing my best friend, my support. Like, it just doesn't end.
No.
And I don't think I know that nobody gets it unless you are a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah.
Nobody gets
Yeah.
it, you know?
And good for them for not getting it. Good for them.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you don't get it in a lot of ways, because if you got it, that would mean that you either knew someone and lost them, or they fought and you saw it, or you yourself
right,
experienced it. Those are the only people who understand.
right. This is true. You do. You make a valid point.
Mhm.
And I've said that. Like, I'm glad you don't understand. I'm glad you don't get it because, you know, the fatigue and, all these ailments, it's so very real. But I think it's also very important to remember, like, yes, we have to deal with these ailments, but there are some fabulous people in this
Mm-hmm.
community who can help you,
Yeah.
and I think that's important to remember.
Mm-hmm.
I met so many people at the summit, and like, this was because I did my story right whenever I got there with you. And I met so many people after I left you. Like, we have the biggest group message ever. And my ADHD self uh, struggles sometimes. But literally said one time, I was like, y'all, I feel like I have 20 Christies. And, you know, to say that, like, I really mean that because, you know, and I don't ever want to hurt anyone's feelings or make offense to anybody, but Christy was very monumental in my life. And for 2.5 years, I mean, just soul support, that losing that, because I mean, I was mad, I was bitter, I was angry. I still get that way,
Yeah.
but I try to focus on the good and be positive because it does help.
Yeah. It
Um,
does. Mindset is everything in this.
yeah. And if I have to have 20 Christies to make up for my one I lost, like, there's
Yeah.
a purpose, there's a reason, and I know how to stand up for myself now, and
That's
I'm
right.
honest, and I set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and I'm here to do something still
That's right.
because I'm still here,
Yeah.
face death literally in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like losing my hair was a big deal. But when I lost my eyebrows and my eyelashes, that a lot almost sent me over the edge. But that,
Yeah.
I mean, you look sick, it just, to think about that and then to think about it's going to be 4 years next month in May.
Congratulations and happy
Thank
early
you.
birthday.
Thank you. That's a big deal,
It is a big
it's a big
deal.
deal.
Birthdays are worth celebrating so hard now
Yeah.
because we almost didn't get them.
Yeah. And like, that's another big thing. I was diagnosed a week before my 30th birthday. So,
That's crazy.
30th birthday, what? Like,
It's supposed to be downhill at 40, not 30.
right? So, but okay, if I had to go downhill at 30, then up at 40, I'm here for that,
That's right.
Like, let's do that. I'm good.
Get the bad stuff out of the way early.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, how would you say how you faced it and how you've come out of it? You said that you're a different person now. So, give us a little hint on that.
I learned to be my true self. Pre-cancer Megan was a people pleaser and gave 95% in everything and only accepted 5% all the time. Held on to that. I'm the middle child of two girls. And so just the typical, feelings with that. And I grew up with a narrative that I wasn't enough. And getting cancer brought up all of that. I really thought that I was okay and I was handling it, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
Of course, being diagnosed with breast cancer didn't help that narrative, but being diagnosed with breast cancer brought out the true Megan, and brought me to counseling. And I have come so far in dealing with the complex trauma from my childhood, and you know being diagnosed with breast cancer, and just this narrative and this mindset, like, everyone's out to get me, the world's out to get me. Always say, like, I hate that breast cancer happened to me, but I'm so thankful it did, because I mean, I wasn't living in my true self. And post cancer Megan, like, realized she likes girls. And I'm like, wait, what? I could have been enjoying this my entire life. Like, what have I been doing? But I wasn't myself. I thought I was. And looking back, I'm like, who is that person? It's not me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still struggle. I'm not perfect, but like I still struggle with the narratives and with the why me and the just typical stuff, and then the mental stuff that comes with breast cancer and, losing people to that. Like while I was on chemo, I was about 2 weeks out of chemo or almost out of chemo. I didn't know. My grandma died. And that
Mhm.
was my grandma who I was close with.
Yeah.
So I didn't even get to grieve her because I had so much going on. And I think that when Christy died, like, because we were like, it was like just this short amount of time of like maybe 4 months where I was okay and she was okay.
Mhm.
And, you know, we had plans like, we're like, girl, we're going to live on a compound. Like, F everybody, like, we don't need nobody. We got it, and then she had to go, It, I think that, like, even though the bad happens, it's for a reason. And it's so hard to say that because some bad has happened and I had to lose someone, but she gave me what I needed for me to continue on.
Yeah. And you carry that with you to give to others now
Mhm.
that you're encountering, that beauty that she gave you, that strength, that encouragement. You sharing your story and her story is 100% what you're giving to someone else listening right now. And that's beautiful.
Yeah. I still remember, like she's like, girl, you gotta fight, like you have to fight. You have to tell them. You don't let them tell you, You want a hysterectomy, you go get a hysterectomy. Like you have breast cancer,
Yeah.
And I just hear that all the time. And it doesn't even have to be anything about medical or about, whatever. Like, girl, you don't deserve that. You don't let them treat you like that.
Yeah.
It's just, and again, like, I don't want people to understand because it sucks. If it, if me standing up for myself and what I've been through and what I know so many others are going through
Mhm.
because of breast cancer, it is what it is. Like, if I have to stand here alone because I'm not going to deal with that, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I lived in misery. I know what misery is,
Yeah.
and I lived it. And I'm not going to do that. I'm standing, and I don't have a drain in me, and I don't
Yeah.
have a bald head, and I have eyebrows and eyelashes, and I
And your
don't
hair is
feel sick.
beautiful.
Thank you. And, yes, I'm tired, and yes, I'm moody,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I don't have to stand for that. And it seems horrible and it seems hard and cold, but I mean, you can only give so much grace. And yeah, you have to stand up for yourself.
Yeah. Be your own advocate.
Mhm.
Got to fight for it. I
Yeah.
like that. It's so
Yeah.
true, though. And that doesn't mean go into your appointments, be a raging
Gosh,
bee.
no. Gosh, no.
Obviously not. You're not that
Don't
person.
do that till like
No.
round 3 of the Red Devil. Then they won't be so hard on you,
Then I'm like,
Like,
she just don't feel good.
yeah. Yes,
Sorry for what
yes.
I said when I was going through chemo.
I mean, listen, at that bell ringing, I was like, all right, doc, I'm sorry about that week on round
That needs
3.
to be a shirt. I'm sorry for what I said when I was going through chemo.
Seriously, seriously. Somebody make me a shirt.
Yeah.
For real though. Like oh my goodness,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there. I'm sure I've said
yeah,
some snarky, snappy things in those
yeah,
moments when you just
right.
are facing that tough,
And it's
tough
so
stuff.
crazy, even if whatever, I do something and then after the fact, I'm like, oh, wait, I wasn't completely honest. It's like it weighs on me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I have to go back and be honest. I have to stand up for myself
Mhm.
because I can't go back to what I was doing, you know? So, yeah, I mean, take your time with,
Yeah.
standing up for yourself.
It's
But
truth, but it's also truth with a little grace.
yes, yes. And give grace to yourself. Like, listen, Jess Glenn is my favorite artist, probably.
Mhm.
Maybe. I have a lot. And she has a song, Why Me? And Don't Be So Hard on Yourself.
Mhm.
Like, such good songs. And it just feel good songs. She's a beautiful voice. And it's like, don't be so hard on yourself. I'm so hard on myself, like, I had to do a lot of apologizing too, because I was mean. I was mean on chemo. I was bitter. I was mad. It was a
Right.
why me?
You're right.
Seriously? I don't wanna do that, to people. And of course, they gave me grace, they're like, we know you were sick and whatever, but still afforded an apology, and so it's just learning moments, so extending grace to others, but also to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't beat yourself up for those things 'cause
Right. Right.
just fighting a battle you've never had to fight before. You don't know what that's
Mhm.
gonna bring out in you, and it does bring out all kind of stuff, all
It
emotions, a lot of
does.
traumas, a lot of
Yeah.
past wounds that weren't dealt with, so
So much.
has a weird way of
Oh my goodness.
kinda cleansing the whole system.
Yeah. Listen, my counselor, I started counseling 2 weeks after chemo. I started
Yeah,
chemo. And
smart.
the girl goes, we have to work on one thing at a time. And right now it's the cancer. I
We'll
was
get
like,
to the other stuff,
okay.
the other layers.
Okay.
That's funny.
Okay. So you're saying I have a lot of stuff going on.
Probably we all do, it's alright.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Megan,
So,
hearing your story is so inspirational and
oh,
encouraging and hard and beautiful,
yeah.
complex, upsetting and inspiring all at the same
Yeah.
time. And I
Yeah.
think that just perfectly sums up all of breast cancer journeys and what it can be like. And you've come out of it full of grace and love and spirit and full of fire and passion. So I'm so thankful to have met you and that you're willing to share a little bit there and your whole story here. So, anybody out there watching this show, if you ever want to reach out to Megan, you can comment below and y'all can connect that way. Or, Megan, anything you want to say? Closing thoughts?
Thank you for having me. It was so nice meeting you. I love sharing my story. So thank you for giving me the platform to do that. And, um, I am starting a group here in Lafayette, Louisiana,
Okay.
under the YSC.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited. And I'm ready for that. I feel
Mhm.
like it's a need here,
Yeah.
especially for us youngins, uh, as they say, but yeah, I'm just thankful to be
So, you
here
are
to,
in Lafayette, Louisiana.
yeah.
What's the name of your group?
I don't know yet. I have a few names, but I haven't settled on one. So
Okay. I'm
I
sure
need
it'll
to.
be fine.
I'm a Gemini and I'm ADHD and I have chemo brain. So
Who knows? But you're
we're
starting.
struggling over here. So
Yeah. Yeah. We started a local chapter here too. We've only had, I think, 3 sessions, and we have one more this
okay.
weekend at my house. So I'm excited too.
Awesome.
But
Yay. I'm excited. And I think
well,
that's
good.
what I want to roll out with it. It's like, yes, it's negative. Yes, it's positive, but it's raw, And so it may be negative, but let's try and, end that on a positive. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Awesome, Megan. Thank you so much for
Thank
being here.
you.
All
Thank
right, you
you.
guys, thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more warrior stories coming soon. We'll see you next time.